check this out. Ready? I'm gonna show you a picture. So I'm gonna flip it around. Right here is me long before my gray hair came. Our oldest son, number 2, number 3, and number 4. This picture is before we had 5 kids. But I wanted to talk about this guy for a second. This is our oldest, who is now married to the sweetest woman. We just adore her. And as we're wrapping up homeschool in our season, I thought it would be really fun to go through each of the kids and kind of give you a reflection and a hindsight of things that we did and learned in homeschooling through the lens of each one of our sons, because they're so different. All of my kids are different, just like all of your kids are different. So I want to talk about this guy for a second. He's now 30, and when we officially started our homeschool journey, we started at a co-op school. Our church decided, hey, let's be a parents teaching the kids school. It's called a co-op school. And what that meant was each of us parents took on a responsibility within our little church school. Some of us did things like the nursery or ran administration. Others of us ended up teaching in a classroom. And so he started at that school when he was in first grade. So that was the official step into homeschooling with our oldest. I was gifted with the blessing of co-teaching 5th grade, and I taught 5th grade for a few years, 6th grade 1 year. So I got that middle school under my belt. And he flourished in a classroom setting. He loved a small classroom. He loved attention from the teachers. He loved hanging out with his friends. And it wasn't until he was in the 5th grade, or going to be in the 5th grade, that we officially came home. And I wanted to start talking about homeschool reflectively through the lens of him as the oldest of 5. There are 12 years between our oldest and our youngest. And when we merged into full-time homeschooling, he was in 5th grade. We were expecting, I think we were expecting child number 4, child number 3, child number 4. Doesn't matter. We have a lot of kids. Well, I was pregnant. Let's say that. And I have difficult pregnancies. I couldn't walk when I was pregnant. So that meant that he was my right-hand guy. This was a challenging season for us. And, I talk about homeschooling through the lens of, one size does not fit all in homeschool. And we tried everything. So our first step after the co-op school was to do public school at home. And what that meant was that we went through the K-12 system, where they sent you everything, all the curriculum, finger paints, everything that you needed. The only thing that you needed to provide was a printer and ink, but everything else they sent you. And it was a great program if you want to duplicate public school at home. We found out quickly through the lens of that oldest son that this was not going to be a good fit for our family. He's not a traditional curriculum guy. He's brilliant and would go crazy sitting in front of the computer just completing lessons. So he's the one, we call him our guinea pig child. If you have a bunch of kids, you know what I mean. You know, the one that you test all your parenting theories on, all of your homeschool theories on. Yeah, that was T. He put up with so much from us. And I am so thankful to report from this end of homeschooling that even though we made a whole bunch of mistakes, he turned out okay. He was potty trained. He can read. He can write. He can do arithmetic. He can actually do calculus. He is a master historian, and he has a PhD in snark and sarcasm. That's right. He is so quick-witted, so funny, so much smarter than me. I cannot believe that I got the blessing of teaching him. I remember when we would start to teach anything in history, he would, wait, and then he would run. And then he'd come back from the bookcases. He would have known where every picture, every book, every story about that historical event, he knew exactly where it was in the house. So he was the king of turning a simple sentence into a whole thematic unit because he knew where to find the information. He definitely has a historian mind. Not only does he love history, but he has a gift for understanding history, understanding the golden threads of history, the people, the socioeconomic stuff. He loves it, absolutely loves it. And today I'm always having to say things. Okay, can you please remind me what this means or what that means? Super, super smart. Like I said, we did all kinds of stuff with him. We did the K-12. We then merged into sharing curriculum with a group of friends where we did Sunlight curriculum. He loved that. Not all of it, but he loved the literature. At the time, I don't know if they still call it cores, but we did Core 5, which was all about the Pacific Islands and that kind of stuff, Japan. And he loved those books and just loved that period in history. The language arts and stuff, not so much. He's not a fill-in-the-blank grammar type person. Excellent writer, creative writer. He loved to sketch and loved to do all kinds of stuff with history. That's kind of the period in time. So by the time he got to be in 8th grade, when we had fudged through a couple different kinds of curriculum, and I was looking at him and I could see he was dying. Just what we were doing wasn't working. And so this is one of the beautiful things about homeschool, is that you can look at your kids and you can go, we need to make a change because this thing, this curriculum, this idea isn't working. And so I can remember sending all of his brothers out to play in the backyard. We had a small little yard in San Diego. It was glorious. It was fenced. There was lots of shade, and we spent lots of time in the backyard. But I sent the brothers out in the backyard, and I sat T across the table, and I said, I owe you an apology. And he went, okay, because he was in that frame of mind that he was 12. He was really lucky to survive this year. I said, I owe you an apology. I have been pushing curriculum and things at you just for the sake of checking them off. And we're missing all the stuff that you want to do. So give me all your curriculum. So he gave me history, science, and language arts. I said, we're going to set all this aside. And what is it that you want to be when you grow up? And he said, a history professor. And I said, okay. So for history, what we're going to do is we're going to create an outline, and you are going to start creating your master files for your history class, for your future history class. And then for English, you know that book that you've been trying to write, but you never have time to write? I said, instead of all the writing that the curriculum wants you to do, I'm just going to give you time to write your novel. It's about this point in time, this exact moment in time, that I discovered secret sauce, that I discovered the power of leaning into your child's passions. Because at that moment, that son of mine he was resisting everything that we were doing in homeschool. He burst into tears. And his heart and his words were basically, really? You mean I get to do what I want to do? It's with the oldest child that we made the most mistakes. But praise the Lord, he's also the one that showed us that if you can lean into what the kids love and then wrap academics around it, they do amazing, amazing things. So as I wrap up this thought with my oldest son, I will circle through all the kids, and I'll probably circle back to him as well. I would love to know, what do you want to know from our oldest son? He's now 30. He's now married. He homeschooled up to 8th grade. He got pushed through all these different curriculums because we didn't have a clue what we were doing. He merged into public high school into a charter school, which he did for 2 years. We moved his junior year of high school, and we decided, you know what, for this kid, public high school might be the right thing. And then it was hard. He did not flourish at that public high school. And yet he went on to graduate. He went on to get his associate's degree. He almost got his bachelor's degree, but ended up finding a trade and has flourished in the trade that he's in. He's getting ready to celebrate his 5th wedding anniversary. And I would say when I look at T, I call him T. I've called him T since he was a baby. He is a total success. He reads voraciously. He is so smart. He can figure things out and find information faster than you can ask a question. He is on it. He's extremely skilled with his hands. He's an amazing leader, an amazing man, and I'm sure he would answer any questions that you have for him from his perspective of being the oldest homeschool child in a family that had never wanted to homeschool in the first place, that both parents were products of the public school system, and he got the blessing of being the guinea pig of the first homeschooled child within our family's recent history. So what do you want to know? I'll be sure to ask him, and then I will answer the question. I'll share his answers in the questions below. And I think that's it. Child number 1, total success.